The following podcast is a Next Level production.
Hey, is everything okay?
What the hell, you guys? What kind of stupid finale is this?
We thought it'd be really cool and unexpected.
Yeah, fun and kind of a twist.
A twist?
Yeah.
The bad guy steals my blood in order to give himself superpowers. Where did you come up with that original idea? Was that from every other superhero story ever?
Okay, there are certain things that are supposed to happen in a superhero story.
Exactly.
Why don't we just do things our own way?
This is the story that Kevin wants.
Yeah.
Okay, then I want to talk to Kevin.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this episode of Panels to Pixels podcast, we're going to do a spoiler-full podcast about both The Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 6, and She-Hulk Season 1, Episode 9. So, first we're going to start off with Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 6, entitled Marigold.
Yeah, so 5 chases down Pogo, Victor and Harlan attempt a transfer of powers, and Diego and Lila venture beyond the wall of the White Buffalo Suite.
The White Buffalo. The White Buffalo. I keep hearing that in my head.
The Buffalo. The White Buffalo.
So what were your thoughts on this particular episode?
This one was good. So when I watched it initially, obviously, was several weeks ago or whatever. When I watched it for the first time for podcasting, there's a whole bunch that I had forgot, but a lot goes on in this episode setting up for kind of the rest of the season.
Yes.
Now there's other setups that we're going to get later, but there was a bunch of stuff that I had forgotten about that happened in this episode that are pretty significant.
Yeah.
So it was exciting to watch it again and then watch it to podcast for it.
Yeah, I really had a good time with this one in the sense that it opened up a lot of doors, a lot of windows, and thoughts about where the season was going, because there's only so many episodes left that we do get. And, I love that we get more 5. We get Victor and Harlan, Luther and his I guess the Sparrows understanding and knowing that, wow, they're together, him and Sloane.
Yeah.
Allison's reveal of what she is going to do, because she's taking sides at this point, and she's kind of torn within the episode. And what Harlan actually offers to Victor at this point to remedy a lot of the issues that are going on. It was like a combination of trying to come together and fix the issues at hand with Victor, but I think we're a little bit, missed.
Like we wrap up one major storyline and we're basically starting kind of the next, we wrap up one story arc and then we're moving into the final story arc, which is going to actually be different and not what we thought it was going to be. So,
yeah, as well as Klaus. And I love the fact that we get that journey of Klaus. And Reginald.
We get the beginning of that journey. Because next episode is when we get the real journey.
Oh, which I look forward to talking about too, because I just love the idea of it and what happens within. But this one, we see a different version of Pogo. I love that idea too, because we see in the very beginning. But we'll get into that once we start talking about our highlights. So I think we should start talking about those.
Absolutely. So let's kick it off with Pogo.
Right.
With that training scene at the beginning, man, Ben just got brutal, with Jamie there, but that he had that smile on his face that just shows how he was looking at their dad, and he could see that Reginald was proud of him being so brutal, and he kind of gets a smile like he's happy to be brutal, and then she stabs him with that piece of wood. And it just was
tentacle.
and one of the tentacles. And so she wins the thing and she's like, suck it, and it was just great. And we see Reginald, after the kids leave, we see Reginald and Pogo together there. And,
Yes.
Reginald admits to not being human because, Pogo says something about, well, you're humanity. And he says, but I'm not,
Yes.
or something like that. So it was really interesting to see that. And then to see Pogo basically get kicked out because, we didn't, in the previous seasons that we had Pogo, in the first season, he was with the kids their entire lives.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're seeing kind of, and I'll talk a little more about this later, but we're seeing like what Ben would have turned out if he hadn't died. We're also seeing what the sparrows are what we're seeing. It would be interesting to see how our other kids would have turned out without
without Pogo there.
Yeah, without Pogo's influence, right?
Yeah, and I think Pogo kept straight and narrow with the kids and the umbrellas, whereas with the sparrows he tried, and we do get a little bit of an awakening of what happened with the sparrows regarding Reginald and how he was treating the sparrows, like Pogo treating the sparrows, because he was like definitely medicating them, and it turned against him because the kids later on used that medication to treat Reginald to do whatever they needed, which is wild.
Yeah.
Well, mine next one would be Fives needing to talk to Pogo. And I thought it was funny because it takes off where we left off, where he just shows up at the biker bar, but he winds up hijacking a bike.
Yeah.
and following him.
That was great. That was in my notes, that whole thing. So that was really, really cool scene.
I thought that was pretty cool in the sense that, he shows up and there's a woman there and just, there's no Pogo here. Let him in. And they talk, and I thought that was rad. It was so cool to see Five on a bike and on a motorcycle. And they have that whole conversation about, and then he shows him the skin and he tells him where he got it from. He goes, I'd never tattooed this, but I know what it's from. And he tells him, and it was something that Hargreaves had and was part of his ultimate plan. And it was, apparently it's all about the Project Oblivion. And and if you think about it, that name alone, Oblivion, I guess that's what's going to happen in the end. It's about Oblivion.
Yeah, and we're going to see that because we've seen it. We don't remember everything, but I know a little bit. I remember some of what is going to happen. So yeah, it's interesting to hear Pogo kind of lay it out. We have that moment with him in Five, and what exactly was Pogo's relationship with Tammy? What do you think? I just kind of, it's interesting.
Who am
I to judge? Who am I to judge?
I'm not going to judge, but she must love primates, so I don't know.
yeah. But it was a cool scene, and to hear at least a little bit of the plan, and I love that how Pogo was looking at it as a magical or supernatural kind of thing, and Five is like, no, Dad was always scientific, so this has a scientific rationalization, and we know from the end that it's kind of ends up being a mixture of both, in a way, of a mixture of science and magic, kind of like Asgardians. So
yeah, especially since, Reginald is an alien, but there is a lot of magic involved, I think, to some degree. And we won't see. I'm pretty sure we won't see anything like that until next season.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we got, like I said, we got to see a little bit of it at the end of the season with the Guardians and stuff, but it's going to be interesting because we got one of the Guardians in this episode. So, so my next one is Victor and Harlan. This, I remember the first time watching this being very confused about what was going on, because there was a moment, where Allison tries to stop Harlan, and she uses the word, I heard a rumor, and he doesn't stop, but then she's able to do that, forcing it without saying, the rumor line to him.
Yeah. It's exposing more of her power that she didn't even know that she realized she had.
Right. But then later, when the actual transfer of power happens, there was a moment there where I was thinking, is he trying to steal her power, or is he really giving her back the power that she gave him? And of course, it turns out that's what it was, that because he comes out of the little, whatever that
Bubble.
the drive-through whatever fast food restaurant place. He comes out of there and he says that he's sleeping, and then we get more, and we'll talk some more about Allison. But yeah, it just was a little bit confusing to me. But we definitely get that confirmation that Victor got his power back. We don't see Victor the rest of the episode, because it's not until the next episode he's going to find out what Allison did.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was just a little confusing to me. And then of course we'll talk some more about Harlan and Allison.
Let's talk about the transference, as it were, from the power of Victor and Harlan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, it was a drive-in movie. And it was a drive-in movie, like where, the Snack Shack, as it were.
Right.
And that's where he was coming out of. Now, you could tell Harlan was very much interested in giving Victor back the power that Harlan had gained from the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want it. It's kind of like he could have it all. And, and then Allison was being very protective and concerned and thinking that Harlan was a villain. And that was why she was like against it and trying to use her power.
But then later, what I'm saying is, that happened first, and then later they actually do the transference of power.
Yeah, they do. And it's amazing too, with like both of them rising up in the middle of the night, and the transference of power and energy, and it's something to be held. But the fact that it was done within, and it just gave me feels of Back to the Future, Back to the Future 3, I should say, where everything was at a drive-in movie theater. So I thought it was pretty cool, but yeah, and you could tell that it was done.
Do I not remember Back to the Future 3? Back to the Future 3 was the Wild West one.
Yeah, but in the very beginning, how did he go back to the future? Back in the past, he was actually at a drive-in movie theater that was abandoned.
Okay, it's been a while since I watched that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been a while since I watched that, so that's fine.
Yeah, but. To me, it gave me those vibes in a sense.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of, Christine from Stephen King too. But,
okay.
But to me, it was very opening and very understanding about Harlan, and Allison's still, it's her, she just doesn't trust anybody. She doesn't trust Harlan. And she wants to believe in Victor. Mm-hmm. And we do see that at the very end, too, when she walks into the Sparrow Academy's house. And
no, she never went inside. She just stayed outside the car.
She was outside.
She just gives them Harlan's body and she walks away.
Yeah.
She doesn't go inside the house. She just walks away.
Oh, all right. I thought
that was strange to me, too, because she lifts up the trunk lid. And apparently there were 2 cars. I don't know how many cars the Hotel Oblivion has that they can just give their people to drive, but I guess because Victor's in a car and Allison's in a car, and now Allison takes one of the cars and it's got Harlan's body in the trunk, which she shows to the Sparrows, and she's like, "Okay, this is over," and then she just walks away and leaves the car there, and I'm like, she looks at Victor and she just kind of scoffs at Victor wearing that Sparrow uniform, and so.
Victor or Luther?
Luther wearing the Sparrow uniform. Sorry.
Which is an interesting side story too, in the sense that they do find out about Luther and Sloane. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I love how Fee goes, we have thin walls here. I could hear the bed squeak.
Yeah, no, I had it. That was one of my quotes. That was one of my quotes, actually. Yeah. We share a wall, and your bed squeaks. Kept me up all night. So yeah, it was good. That was a good line.
And I just love how the relationship has grown, but the fact that the Sparrows want to invite Luther in as one of their own, as family.
Yeah. I don't remember how that plays out eventually. I think he ends up not joining them.
No, he doesn't.
Because then they end up working. Yeah, they end up working together to try to get rid of the Kugelblitz, and it's a whole. Yeah, I didn't get that there because Ben says he's got what Faye is kind of like. What are you doing? He's like, I got a plan, but we never know I don't think we ever do find out.
No, we don't.
What the plan was for Luther, I don't know.
No, Luther is like. We all know He's not the greatest of leaders. He doesn't know what's going on half the time with his own family. One of which that I like too, because you don't see that much interaction between Lila, Diego, and the other siblings that are out there. And
no, they had their separate storyline.
They're on separate.
Episode.
Yeah, they're looking for Stan, and we know Stan's gone.
And that was my next point. Actually, was Diego, Lila, and the other side. I thought it was interesting. They go looking for Stanley through this thing, and they find his lighter there at the door. And Diego says something like, "Of course, he's a 12-year-old kid. He's going to go through the mysterious tunnel." And I'm like, I don't really follow that logic, but okay.
It's called kids just being kids and being snoopy,
Eventually when they're on the other side, Lila tells him the truth that Stanley is not his son, that she basically kidnapped him from the 1980s and brought him here. And he's like, "You kidnapped a kid?" And this was the part where I had forgotten a whole lot of this part of the storyline. I totally forgot that he got his fingers chopped off. Totally forgot. And I think I gasped every time when that moment happened, because it's just
Diego getting his
yeah, Diego got his fingers chopped off. I had totally forgotten about that. So when it happened the first time watching this for this podcast, I was like, whoa, I was startled. And then when it happened again, it just startled me, because it was just one of those things that it just comes out of the blue, because his hands are so important to him. And then they run out, they get out of the building, or they get back to the other Oblivion hotel, and they get the door closed. And I thought it was interesting that the Guardian kind of pounded on the door a few times, and when he couldn't get it to open, it seems like he just turns around and walks away. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. If he's either going to pursue him or he's not going to pursue him, but whatever. I think that gets answered somewhat in the last episode, so we'll probably talk more about them. But then, of course, we see that Stanley had just gone out to get a slushie and a Slim Jim, but then he gets blitzed. With the Kugel Blitz. So yeah, that whole storyline was completely separate, and we're going to learn more about this as the rest of the episodes progress. But yeah, this is going to be interesting to see, to remember how Diego and Lila deal with this. And I know there's another reveal that Lila is going to give that she hasn't given yet.
Yeah, there's definitely a big, huge one, but we're not going to get that until probably next episode.
It's either 8 or it's either 7 or it's down the road.
I definitely by 8 we know what's going on, and that I remember. But we're gonna go this episodically, people. So keep listening as you are, if you're still listening, that is. But obviously, we're gonna get to She-Hulk episode 9, the finale. But right now, we're talking about the Umbrella Academy season 3, episode 6. But yeah, a lot of what I had was bait I already spoke about. The one big true giveaway was Hargreaves and how the Sparrows treated him, because literally all the pills that Pogo gave them over the years, that was like a rude awakening to me. I'm like, oh, that's why, that's how they're drugging him, because he was drugging the kids to deal with Reginald. And when he left, they took a side and said, all right, we're going to give these to him. Now he's a TJ Hooker fan stuck to the TV.
Yeah, but he's starting to get his mind back. That's what Clive tells Pogo. He said, yeah, my brother taught him how to fool him. So he's going to start to get his mind back a little bit. And we're going to see, especially in the next episode, I think he completely gets his mind back.
Oh, he does. But he's still in the sense of trying to show Klaus the way. And that to me is like, that was one of my favorite episodes out of the season too, is like to seeing Klaus and Hargreaves on their journey and what he has to do. And
that's next episode now. So that's
it's next episode. I know we're not there yet, but to me, that was my favorite episode. I look forward to actually talking about that. But yeah, that was about it for me with all my points and everything. The one thing I did want to bring up that was in my notes, we do see the buffalo painting within Hargreaves' room this time as Klaus and Reginald argue.
We've seen it before too, though. It's been foreshadowed before, but now is when Hargreaves finally hears that Klaus knows about the buffalo room. So yeah, that was great. I love that the logo actually changed on the door when Pogo closed the door. Instead of getting the two logos like side by side, it changes from the Sparrow to the Umbrella Academy. I thought that was a cool little effect there.
Yeah, it was like a turning of power, literally of how the episode was turning about, because Sparrows don't have the upper hand at this point. Now the Umbrella Academy does. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah. I loved Luther in having his conversation with Sparrow Ben, because it was so, Ben has been trying to understand, why do you guys keep talking about this other Ben? And so finally Luther admits, hey, he was the best of us. But again, like I said at the beginning, we're seeing a Ben that we're seeing a different Ben anyway. So
it's going to be Ben. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting that whole conversation that he has where he's like, I'll take whatever I can get of this Ben, and so that was a really, really cool moment between the two of them. I'm looking, I think that's everything. I've got one more quote that, I haven't shared yet from the episode, for the Umbrella Academy. And that's the one with Luther when he's talking to Sloan and he's talking about his family. He says, the only thing we really have in common is childhood trauma.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So
the only quote that I would have would be Harlan saying, everyone has their own vibration. That's when Allison asked of what he is listening to his headphones. But he mentions that, because she kind of mocked what he was listening to, which was like water or something, of ocean or something. But yeah, and then there was one from Luther to Ben saying, genetically you are the same person, and Ben goes, great, the old nature versus nurture speech about trying to reach through to the Ben that we're seeing. Then they offer Luther the Sparrow's uniform, and then Luther just has that look of shock on his face, going, what? And then and the thing about Ben, honestly, within this episode, you and I just did the Community episode on Wilhelm. Now, remember with Jeff when he flips the dice and it's like alternate timelines? It's like that to me. It's like, this is the alternate timeline of Ben. I'm not saying he's truly evil, but the fact is that it's a completely different Ben, and the Umbrella Academy doesn't understand it or see it because all they see is Ben. But in Community, they all knew, and then they encountered each other, and that was an interesting thing. To me, it's kind of a weird thing, though, that you're encountering these people, and then they can't come to the terms of, this is a completely different person, and they're just not dealing with it correctly. But I do enjoy the how they're trying to reason and rationalize and trying to make this Ben like their Ben. But I think at the very end of the season, we do see them come to a compromise of like accepting this Ben for who he is. And he's
I don't remember exactly how it turns out. Oh, there was one other thing that I had that we didn't talk about.
Okay.
Was part of Allison's journey is that she mentions the fact that she looked up Ray's death when she's talking to that kind of hallucination of him. And she says she looked up, she said the Ray I knew died 9 years ago or whatever it was. And he lived a full and happy life or something like that. And the guy says, but it was, or she said, but it was without me. And that's what we see as soon as she encounters Harlan outside of that drive-in, snack shack, when Harlan admits to her what he did, that he was the one that killed their mothers, she just snaps, And I love it. Ray had a line in there where he says, we all go a little crazy sometimes. He kind of similar to the Psycho. I mean, I think it's mad or it's crazy. He says crazy, but in Psycho, he says mad. He says we all get a little mad sometimes. So a little different line, but still definitely a homage to the Psycho line there that I thought was great. But yeah, we're seeing again this progression of Allison's of where she just flat out murders Harlan.
Yeah.
And throws him in the trunk of the car. And that ends that storyline. Okay, we're done. And we're going to see how that plays out when Victor finds out what she did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a big change in relationship at that point, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was our coverage for Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 6. So if you guys have any thoughts or anything, you know the deal. Just put them in the comments below in Facebook or send an email and we'll bring them up.
Absolutely.
Next up, we're going to be talking about She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Season 1, Episode 9. Whose show is this?
So good. Jen finds herself in trouble with the law and struggles to pick up the pieces of her life. Okay, kind of. That's a good. I guess that's a good synopsis of the show.
Yeah, but maybe she flipped a few pages and talked to the editorial room. And
I love this. I absolutely love this one.
Really?
I did. I was so excited. I even sent a voicemail to Podcastica's She-Hulk cast for their coverage. It just, for me, the episode had everything that we would have wanted, that I wanted anyway. So I can't wait for us to kind of talk through it.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit one thing. I was wrong last week. The whole Hulk _King thing was a name. That was the name Todd was using, was Hulk King.
That is
I was
true.
wrong. I was wrong in that. But no, I loved it, man. I wish I only had the chance to watch it twice. I'm definitely going to be watching it again because it's so good. And there's just so much stuff in it. But there's one concern I have of a line that was said that I'm worried about for if there is a second season. I still hope there's going to be a second season. But we'll talk about that when we get into our notes.
They talk about that within the episode, yeah.
They do. But what do you think? What did you think?
I thought it was interesting as an episode. I liked it, but confused throughout it. But then again, anytime you read a She-Hulk comic book, you're going to get confused with all the fourth wall breaks. And this one, there was a ton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's,
and she just basically rips the episode in half at the very end and goes on a tirade. But it was something that was needed. It's nothing different from the comic. So those of you listeners that are only just watching the show and have never read a comic, this is literally what she does within the comic every once in a while. It doesn't happen every issue all the time. You know, there'll be certain panels and then she'll rip it and then she'll change it, scream at John Byrne or whoever's writing at that time. And then somebody will be the voice of reason in the panel itself as she's ripping it, and you go down to the next one and then it just continues on. This one was a whole ripping and changing and just literally taking straight from the comic to the pixel. So the panel to the pixel in a sense, and making it as, you know, honestly, I had a conversation with somebody and they didn't believe me when I said, look, She-Hulk was the first person other than Deadpool to break that fourth wall in the comics. And it is the truth because it started with the Byrne run. That was long before Layfield actually got involved with Deadpool.
Nice.
And that's the whole thing. And a lot of people ignored that over the years. And they always say, oh, Deadpool was, he breaks the fourth wall. And when you bring up She-Hulk, they're like, no, and they kind of dismiss it. Nope. This was the first. But to me, it kind of got confusing. But after a couple of watches, or a few watches at that point, I started to realize, and I'm like, okay, I see the humor in it, but you had to watch it. But to me, I enjoyed it. It took me a while, but I'm thinking a lot of people are giving it really bad reviews. In my opinion, I don't care. I liked it.
Yeah, like I said, I loved it. I was absolutely, it had everything. To me, it had everything that I would have wanted. I mean, maybe the only thing we didn't really get was any courtroom stuff.
Yeah, well, slightly with Nikki and maybe Pug coming in and
right, with them delivering the plea deal to her, and then at the end, her whole closing argument thing was really great. Turning that around on the KEVIN was really cool. And he's like, "I see what you did there. Okay, I'll allow it." You know, it was really really cool. I like I said, I really liked it. So many things. I've got bullet points because I was been dealing with this nerve issue and it was hard for me to type today. But yeah, I loved it. Loved it absolutely.
Yeah. With that, we'll move right along into our top thoughts. I'll start it this time.
Absolutely,
because, honestly, I just love that whole intro, and I've been waiting for this all season because we were teased with it all through the advertising for She-Hulk when it first was announced. You had Ruffalo and Tatiana Maslany as pictured like Banner with Bixby's banner and
so that was Ruffalo. That was Ruffalo when she says the line about you don't like me when I'm angry. that was Ruffalo. I thought it was. I didn't have a chance to check the credits, so that was cool. I was like, that really looks like Mark Ruffalo, but I don't know if it's for sure is him.
Yeah,
but
it was.
Yeah, great.
And then it was supposed to be Mr. McGee and Banner when they had that whole thing interaction, because it was taken straight out of the 70s and 80s Incredible
TV
Hulk
show, the Incredible Hulk
TV
TV
show with
show.
Bigsby and Ferrigno. And I've been looking forward to, but they went through the whole intro, which was amazing.
I loved it. I love the tweaks they did to it for She-Hulk and stuff. But go ahead. You talk. This is one of my points as well. So you talk yours, and I'll throw in mine when you're done.
Well, I just love the whole intro, as it were, and that's it. That's all I had to say about it. To me, I've been looking forward to it. I'm so glad, but they did the whole thing complete with their own little bit of twist. But if you do shot for shot, for most part, it's exactly like that Bigsby Ferrigno show.
Yeah, I love the split screen at the end, just like it did at the end of those credits showing Bixby and Ferrigno. This one shows Jen Walters or shows Tatiana Maslany, and then the She-Hulk, and then it's kind of split screen thing was just terrific. That whole thing was I just absolutely loved that opening. It's just so good.
That opening is so great, and it was something that I was so dying for, because as cheesy as the Bigsby Ferrigno show was when it was out, and for people that are our age that look back at it, a lot of people hate it. But to me, I still love it for the nostalgia of it, because of when I was a kid, because I enjoyed it as I waited every week to watch that show.
Yeah, that haunting music that it always had. I think it's a Beethoven.
Oh, no.
It's not
That's
Beethoven?
it's the Lonely Man theme.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so good. So good. My first one is, it's kind of a quick one, but that video they had of college age Jen, and she's in the dreadlocks.
She's twerking.
She's twerking. Yeah, it was great. But it also, that dreadlocked kind of with the glasses was very much, I think, was a homage to Orphan Black, because there's one of the clones in Orphan Black dresses with dreadlocks and has glasses and was like at a university kind of thing. So I think that was definitely a homage to her Orphan Black.
Which is pretty cool. If that's the truth, that'd be good. If you listeners have a thought about that, and for definitely sure.
If it was just coincidental, then it was really highly coincidental. But it really looks like that clone character that she played.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Well, in the very beginning, Jen complies with that plea deal since the attack that she had at the gala. So she's stuck with her mom and her dad. Yeah. And she lost her job with the firm. And then she has to wear this inhibitor just like Emil does. Yeah. So what the Abomination does and his place. So she's stuck there. You got Nikki and her. They're doing this NYPD Blue profiler thing where they're trying to find a source of intelligentsia and trying to figure out who's to blame. Yeah. And you can tell that Nikki's backing her up.
Yeah. I love Nikki's line when they're taking all of her stuff out of the law offices, and she goes, "I am going to keep working here because they pay me nicely." I thought that was just so Nikki. She's like, by the way, I'm not quitting my job for you, but that they pay me nicely. So I thought that was really, really great. And, just that her and Pug working together, and then her like realizing that she's going to have to get a man to go to undercover in this intelligentsia thing is like, she's like, "Pug, are you still here?" So,
I think it was really cool for the fact that Pug went along with it with Nikki and helping out Jen. Yeah. And I'm loving that idea. It shows that they're really good friends. And Pug is there. He's not the tool that you think he is.
Yeah.
Especially when we see him when he goes into the intelligentsia. So that is something I love to talk about too, because he gets in there and there's a few things that they talk about. Actually, they bring it into canon about with Thor: Love and Thunder, because they talk about Lady Thor. And then they talk about, because in comparison to She-Hulk and everything else. So apparently this is around that time.
Yeah, that was great. And again, the same kind of comments that you're getting that I'm sure were real comments they had probably seen on the tweets and stuff was really, really hilarious. I love the fact that he couldn't stand being in there. You could just see the disgust on his face. He's like, "Should I really wear this earpiece?" And she's like, "Trust me, you won't be the only one wearing an earpiece." That is one of the things for me that I absolutely hate when I do have one in and I'm trying to interact with other people. I usually try to take it out so it's not in my ear when I'm talking to somebody, you know, in actual person, because I just think that's just I don't want to get on a diatribe about that. I loved that that Bruce is Smug Hulk in her cell phone. I had to pause it to see when she's texting. He's Smug Hulk is what she calls him.
Yeah. I kind of got that feeling that she was going to put that in her cell phone anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the fact that during that whole thing where Pug infiltrates, at first when I saw all the signs, I'm like, wait, they're in Emil's complex. And
I didn't even pick up on it. I didn't even pick up on it until the guy that attacked her in the earlier episode, who apparently had no idea this was going on, told her, "Oh, he's at some private event." It wasn't until he said he's at some private event that I went, "Oh, it's the same place. He's one of the bad guys." So, but yeah, I didn't catch it when Pug first went in there. It didn't even dawn on me seeing the signs in the back and stuff.
Yeah, so apparently Emil rents out his place for other people for gatherings.
And he's a motivational life coach.
And he was trying to he was just trying to be nice about it and help others with their issues too, with their own little gathering. And he didn't, Emil was, it wasn't intentionally to the point of like he was doing bad.
He was hurting Jen, right.
Yeah, he was trying to be helpful.
Yeah, it wasn't until the second watch that I picked up on that. I don't think he was really intentionally. He wasn't thinking about the fact that he was that they were hurting Jen, and so he by extension was hurting Jen by even siding with them at all. Yeah, and so that he figured that out when Todd hulks out and starts to attack her, and so he grabs her and gets her out of the way, and he saves her, and then we have that whole interaction between him and Hulk. Where Hulk thinks he's attacking Jen, and of course that's when Jen stops everything.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Wait a minute,
ends it. Wait a minute,
this is too messy. Why are we doing this so messy?" I loved that when she breaks it, when the thing pauses and she breaks the screen, she looks through. She has to scroll through like the Disney Plus app, and she's looking for no, can't use that one, and she sees, oh, Marvel is a symbol. That's one that I can use, because that's one that actually goes like into the writer's room and into production type stuff. So she opens up the Marvel's assembled one and crawls in there, and she's on the back lot, at the studio. I thought it was just great.
Well, the whole backlot thing was pretty cool. I love the fact that we got Todd. He exposes himself as the Hulk King, just to make it apparent. But the fact that he turns into Bro Dude Hulk, and then we got, Bruce shows up, and that's really what spawns about it, especially when Titania actually shows up.
Yeah. And Jen's like, wait a minute, Titania's here? How is she? This is just getting so messy.
It is messy to the point where it's like, this doesn't make any sense. And that's why she decides, I'm going to go after the writer's room. All right, guys.
And that's what we've been talking about this whole season. We've been waiting for her to interact with the writers. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it took until the very last episode to do so, which I honestly, they should have done it sooner, like in the beginning.
Or, they could have given us a piece. Yeah, do a mini one, give us a piece of her stepping into production, maybe, just so it wasn't so jarring. I can see how it might have been jarring to some people for it to happen in this.
And it gets confusing to them because they're not familiar. And, that was the only thing. But honestly, I thought it was pretty cool that we get that. And it's straight out of the comic. But the whole last half of it literally is her breaking that fourth wall and dealing with it. And, the one thing that I love too is that I need to speak to Kevin. Now you're thinking Kevin Feige. Nope. It's Kevin, Kevin, Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus.
Yeah. And this is my only point of a little bit of criticism there, because she says, I want to speak to Kevin. And in the subtitles, when they say the name back to her, the subtitles put it as an acronym, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I think that revealed, I think they shouldn't have done that in the subtitles, because that's acting like everybody knows. I guess that's why the guy had her sign that NDA, because everybody knows that he's actually a robot and Kevin Feige isn't a real person, or everybody knows that, but still it revealed to the audience what was going on because of the subtitles.
Well, the subtitles, but if you didn't have subtitles on,
right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. But because people that have subtitles on, we were spoiled at the reveal. Because I'm like, wait a minute, KEVIN, that's an acronym. What is he, some sort of robot or something? And so that's the only part that really kind of bothered me was I wish they hadn't done that in the subtitles. Yeah,
Disney, take a note, please. Do not put spoilers and acronyms.
Well, and this is the other thing. This is the other thing that I was a little critical of the episode is he says something to her like, you won't be able to interact with Kevin again. We fixed that part of the algorithm. And so I hope that doesn't mean she's no longer going to break the fourth wall. I hope it just means she's never going to crawl out of the TV again. I hope that's what it means. I hope, because if we get a season 2 and we don't get her talking to the audience, that's just going to be a shame.
I don't think that's going to happen at all.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a second season because we haven't really got any true confirmation yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do, I wouldn't be surprised if she destroys Kevin. And then... think about it. It could be the first episode where she finds the real Kevin Feige and destroys the machine.
Maybe. We'll see. But like I said, he said you won't be able to interact. So I don't know. She'll have to fix that somehow.
Yeah, she'll fix the glitch.
Yeah.
I just love how when Kevin says that she is very expensive and has to transform back to Jennifer.
That was great. That's great. The visual effects team has moved on to another project.
Yep. Which talks about how much it costs to actually do these things.
Yeah.
She talks about the Super Soldier Serum plot at the end of her show.
Yeah.
And that was also something that we'll get into when we talk about Werewolf by Night, because that was also a subplot within the comics, but we'll talk about that. I love how she changes the story ending overall, wanting to have Daredevil because he was hot.
I know. A girl's got her needs. I thought that was just great. And then he says, that's when the computer Kevin says something like, well, we won't see you. We'll see you in the movies. And she's like, really? And he's like, no. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, and then we get that cool thing where she starts to break things down. Like, then she talks about the daddy issues with Cap, Loki, Thor, Star-Lord with 2 daddies and 2 issues.
She's like, everybody's all these things. Can we do something different for my show? And he's like, it's not your show, it's Kevin's show. And no, it's Shield's show.
Yep. And then she asks about, when are we going to get the X-Men? Gives 2 thumbs up and a wink with her tongue sticking out at the camera.
Yeah.
And Kevin can't say anything. She asks about season 2 of She-Hulk. We don't get a really full disclosure about what's going on.
No, we get when she breaks in the writer's room. I think you alluded to this earlier. She breaks in the writer's room. They're kind of discussing options for season 2.
Yeah.
And like one of them is, it could be a dream. It could be all the dream sequence or something like that. And I'm like, what? Come on. So, but yeah, I hope we get a season 2 because I really did enjoy it.
Same here, and they could always add more to it because you could get more. What they seem to be doing is introducing a lot of characters into these shows that the movies won't normally typically do. And then with that, we can move right along into the ending, which was pretty funny because you got Daredevil showing up at Jen's family picnic.
At the barbecue, the family barbecue, and her dad's asking him so you have your own firm? And he's like, yeah, it's in Hell's Kitchen. I work with Disadvantaged. Oh, so you don't make a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, she kind of sidelines it, and he goes, what did you set me up for?
And I wonder, that was an interesting kind of side plot that maybe they're just going to kind of hush it, is if they know that She-Hulk is with Daredevil and that this guy is coming around, are they going to figure out that you see what I'm saying? You see, it's a little bit of a tough thing that maybe her family can be sworn to secrecy or something. I don't know. I just, it's probably a throwaway kind of thing that we're never
I think it was kind of a throwaway thing because she kept saying, Dad, Mom, Dad. No, he's only here for a couple of days.
Yeah. Cause he's going to go back. He's going to go back east and have his own show and everything. And so that's, we probably won't get a lot of interactions between them, but maybe we will. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Because Pug and Nikki kind of figured it out Pug figured it out. He goes, "Wait, did they hook up? Are they a thing?" and Nikki's like, "Shh." So
yeah, Pug knows now because
Nikki
knew.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like going forward what But yeah, that was a fun scene there at the end. Take care of the burgers and
Yeah, and we kind of missed out on it just talking about Emil goes to jail, but he does admit that, he has some issues, and then he kind of did wrong. He did, Abomination out, and he wasn't supposed to, so he kind of...
But then he takes up Wong on his offer to live at Carmitage.
Yeah.
So we are going to get the Abomination in the future. We can still get a Thunderbolts,
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
kind of thing. So we'll have to see if that happens in the future or not. But yeah, that was great. I love what did Emil say? Something like, "Well, you took your time," or something like that.
Yeah.
And Wong's like, "Oh, I was dealing with something else," and
which we're gonna find out later on, probably.
Well, and then I'm sure you have something to say about the really big reveal.
Oh yeah, the big reveal when Bruce shows up with his son Scar.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because you've been talking about that all season.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, listeners, those of you who are not comic fans, I will bring this up and I will give the story out quickly. Well, there was a comic run, and you all know Thor Ragnarok. And we already know that story plot where he went to Sakaar. It was a battle zone where he was set to be a warrior. Well, in the original comics, basically the Illuminati thought the Hulk was so savage to the point where they had to banish him. So they sent him out into space with his spaceship, and he was banished from Earth because he caused so much trouble, chaos, damage, and caused a lot of deaths. So the Illuminati sends him out. He gets stuck on Sakaar. He winds up building through the ranks like we saw in the Age of Ragnarok with Thor, and just like that movie. So he was like a warrior. He winds up falling in love, taking over, and marrying a queen and having children. And then the story rolls around where he's summoned back. He goes back to Earth for some reason. I'm not going to get into it. But he finds out something happened to his wife. His wife's dead, thinks his son is dead, and we get World War Hulk, which is literally, he just goes crazy and tries to kill the Marvel Universe. But in this case, we don't get any of that. We just get Scar coming back to Earth. So there's a whole hidden storyline within the MCU right now, because Bruce went there as Smart Hulk and got his son and brought him back to Earth.
Yeah, so that's going to be something we're going to see in a future movie or TV show or something.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Scar and his powers is he could go back to human form, which is like a little kid, but he's a kid. And the only thing I didn't like was his haircut, because his hairline was like way back, like shaved. That's not the Scar I know. But he has powers like his mom, and his mom has specific powers, so my recommendation, do your homework and go read those comics. They're out there in trade paperback. But he has, he can't Hulk out and get like stronger like Hulk does when he turns green. He has superhuman strength, but he's not as strong as the Hulk. But he also has
and that's all stuff we'll find out. Yeah, that's all stuff
we'll find out later on.
And they can change it if they want.
And they could change it too, because these are adaptations. But it's pretty cool that he brings up, and then they all just accept Scar for who he is at the barbecue. And I thought that was pretty cool.
I was waiting for Jen to turn to the audience and say something like, "Is he hijacking my show? Is my show getting hijacked again?" or something like that. But we had enough. We had enough fourth wall breaks, so I think that's good.
I know we're a lot more in this episode than any other that we've had before. Yeah, but that's all I had.
Okay, the only quote I have is from Jen's dad when he's spraying the reporters. He says, "Get off my damn lawn! I don't care if there's a drought. I got water pressure for days." I thought it was so good to see Mark Linn-Baker in something.
Oh yeah. I have one from Jen, and it's when she decides to go to see Emil and in his retreat. She goes, "I'm not running from my problems. It's a mental health break." And that's to us, the audience.
Yeah, that's great.
Todd saying, "Mother Pugger," when he sees Pug at the Intelligentsia.
Yeah. Of course you're one of us, dude.
Yeah, and that one character, I'm forgetting the character's name, who is in the Wrecking Crew that Jen befriended within the group.
Yeah, I can't
And-
remember his name either.
Yeah, the guy I met at Walker Stalker. He goes, I kind of missed the chicken blood, and that was with the tea and everything that he was making at night in the kitchen.
Oh, I didn't catch that one because he told Jen to watch out when Saracen makes it because he might put blood in it.
Yep,
So that's-
but he was like, yeah, I kind of missed the chicken blood.
Okay. I didn't catch that one. So interesting.
And then one last one I have is what Jen states to Kevin, or Kevin, saying, yeah, that's what Hulks do. We smash things. Bruce smashes buildings. I smash fourth walls and bad endings. And sometimes Matt Murdock, and then winks at the screen.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
But yeah, that was those are my thoughts and on our coverage on that. We could move right along into some news. We got some interesting news.
Okay.
Now, mind you, it's not 100%, but it is definite that Harrison Ford is in talks with the MCU.
Okay.
He is going to be Thaddeus Ross in the next Captain America movie.
Thaddeus Ross.
Thaddeus Ross. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to
Oh, is that the part? Wait,
That was William Hurt's character?
William Hurt's character. Okay, so they're changing actors. with it.
Well,
Okay.
not changing. William Hurt passed away during
Right.
his
Oh,
time.
you're right. I'm sorry. Okay.
So they
He's going to take over the role.
he's going to take over the role. Now,
Okay.
does this mean we're going to have Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk and the Thunderbolts? I do not know, but somebody actually, one of the heads of Marvel was on the Roca, I should say, the Roca Report. And he's very well known in the media, and it was on YouTube. And the guy mentioned, he goes, yeah, it's definite that Harrison Ford is signed up for the next Captain America movie, and with Anthony Mackie and the Winter Soldier himself, Sebastian Stan. So Harrison Ford is going to be taking up the mantle of Thaddeus Ross. But when Roca had asked him about being Red Hulk, he goes, well, we have to get through this one first. So basically, if Harrison Ford signs on for more films, then we'll most likely get him as Red Hulk. Not that Mr. Harrison Ford himself has to do anything, literally, because it's all screen capture, and they could always hire somebody to do the green screen or whatever it is, like what they do CGI with Ruffalo or with Tatiana Maslany.
Mhm.
I think a lot of listeners and viewers of the She-Hulk movie will know is that there's a very tall woman that is out there that stands in as double for She-Hulk for Tatiana Maslany. You've seen that online too, right, Steve?
Mhm. Yeah, I reposted that on the Panels to Pixels Facebook page.
Yeah,
where
I
they
saw
showed
that.
picture of her with and that's a comment that I heard another podcast did make, that, you know, the reason they have that is because the actors will then have a sight line of when they're talking to She-Hulk. Because
Yes.
obviously they're not going to be looking at her knees. They're going to be looking up at her. And so that gives the actors that kind of sight line. And that was I think it was Greg or somebody mentioned the fact that they thought it was really great with how the actors were able to interact with the CGI She-Hulk.
Yeah, which I think is amazing too, because you're giving people extremely tall people at this point, because that woman has to be at least 6'4", and we know that She-Hulk is at least 6'7", so she has the height. And and when you see Tatiana Maslany and her standing next to each other in the kitchen in that
It is
picture,
funny.
it's like a huge difference in height.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing I had really for news. Other than that, we'll be covering Werewolf by Night.
All right. The only podcast recommendation I have this week is I just listened to. It was actually an interview from September on Rob Lowe's podcast, Literally, with Rob Lowe. He interviewed Ice-T.
Huh.
And I highly recommend going out. Even if you don't subscribe to Literally with Rob Lowe, go out and download that interview. And because Ice-T, it's just fascinating to hear him talk about the beginnings of hip hop and rap and
Awesome.
where that all came from. And then talks a little bit about being on, in fact, he's played a cop for 20 years. You know, he had a song about killing cops many years ago. And now he's the beloved cop character, on Law and Order SVU. So it's a really cool conversation. It's only about an hour long, which is it's what Rob Lowe usually stays to, is right around the 55-minute to an hour mark. But yeah, Literally with Rob Lowe, interview with Ice-T.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any podcast recommendations, but I do have a YouTube recommendation, and it's our friends Michael and Jessica from the Grim Life Collective. Now, they were in my neck of the woods this past weekend, and they went to go see, because Halloween is upon us, everybody. So they went to what we have in Ulster County in that area called the Headless Horseman, and it used to be a hayride. Now, they stopped the hayrides about 3 years ago, from what I'm told. Now it's all a walking thing, so you have to walk through everything, but it's a good hour and a half haunted mansion kind of thing. It's all outside, but you have some interiors. You have a haunted motel, you got a slaughterhouse, you got a corn maze that you could go through, a whole bunch of other venues that they have that you could walk through, but people scare the living daylights out of you. And it's rated one of the 3 best haunted attractions during Halloween in America. And I've gone there a bunch of times, but I haven't been able to go there. I haven't gone since just before COVID. Originally, tickets used to be about like $55. I think the prices have gone up, but they put more into it this year. And Jessica and Michael were able to do a whole video of it. So you could see that on YouTube. So if you go to the Grim Life Collective and check that out and look for Headless Horseman, and you'll see it. And it's a good almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And they were able to get video, which you never were able to do at this place at all because of actors and, licensing and everything else. But in this case, they were able to do it. So if you're interested in going to it, I highly recommend it. If you could get out here into New York and to Ulster County and check out the Headless Horseman, like I said, it might be a little bit pricey per person, but it is well worth it for the scares, especially during Halloween. So check that out, Grim Life Collective and the Headless Horseman episode.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you're listening to us on your podcast player of choice, whether that be Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. We would love to get a review from you on that. If we get shout out, we would shout you out here on the podcast if we get a chance to see that review. So we are on all the platforms that are out there. Just search for Panels to Pixels Podcast.
And you can check out our website, would be panelstopixelspodcast.com.
We're on Facebook, facebook.com/panelstopixels.
We are on Twitter at panels2pixels. So that's at and panels and the number 2 pixels.
We have an email address, which is panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels2pixels1. The TO is spelled out right in the middle, and then the number 1@gmail.com.
You can find us on YouTube if you search Panels to Pixels Podcast. While you're there, if you like what we do, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Like I always state, there is some video there. So once we get another guest or somebody to interview, there will be video. So check that out when you can. Or if you like to listen to your podcast that way, they're there as well.
We are on Instagram at Panels2Pixels Podcast. That's words all spelled out, Panels2Pixels Podcast on Instagram.
And you can check out all the other podcasts on the Next Level Podcast Network. We highly recommend them all. Wilhelm, The Melting Pat, Podcast Zero, and so much more. All you have to do is go to nextlevelradioonline.com and check them out there. If you listen to the most recent version of Wilhelm, or the new episode, because Ben is back, and Steve and I are on that particular episode when we cover Community.
Absolutely. So coming up for us in the future, you'll get more of the Umbrella Academy Season 3, Werewolf by Night, and whatever else comes down the pipe. You never know.
Exactly. I'm thinking I'm playing with the idea of doing Paper Girls.
Oh, yeah. I've already watched that one, but yeah, I want to get confirmation there's a Season 2 coming, but it was good. I'd be excited to watch it again.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Our friend Jamie is interested too, because she was like, "Oh wait, they did that." She didn't know.
There you go.
So, well, with that, where else can listeners hear us?
Well, for me, I send in voicemails to various podcasts that our friends do, and they play them often on there as feedback. So you'll hear my voice on a lot of different places.
Exactly.
And of course, right here on Panels to Pixels Podcast. And of course, next week, probably by the time this comes out, Wilhelm will have already come out, as Mark just stated, that we're on there talking about Community.
Exactly. And, well, you listeners could hear me right here on Panels to Pixels podcast, but also you could hear me on Adrenaline Cinema podcast on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. And there, up recently will be Speed from 1994 with our friend Kelly. And we discussed that whole movie thoroughly and have fun with it. You could also hear me on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition. That could also be found on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. We'll be covering, of all things, The Mummy 2017 and how we could change that particular movie. Ben stated that we could get rid of Tom Cruise altogether. But honestly, there's other things that we could possibly do with either script, music, storyline, things of that nature. So check that out. You can hear Rob, Joe, myself, Ralph, and Zach talk about The Mummy from 2017. You could also hear me, Jamie and I already mentioned, Jamie, our friend Jamie and I cover Sandman cast on the Podcastica Network. We're coming to an end with the extra episode, which it's a two-parter and it's animated. So you could hear me, Jamie, and I think possibly Lara, and we're going to cover that, and that will be finishing up Sandman cast and the Sandman series on Netflix. I think I sent you a voicemail
for that also.
Yep. So,
it's a short one.
But yeah, you could hear us there. But yeah, pretty much that's it for this particular episode of Panels to Pixels. Well, I just want to say, same podcast, different panel, different pixel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels podcast, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good night.
Good night.
Do I have to do that again?